What's up, guys? So I mainly trade supply and demand. I do use key levels, as you can tell on my chart, but mainly higher time frame supply and demand. I've traded probably every single way out there. I actually started with supply and demand. Went away from it. Did followed flow, EMAs, used algos, key levels, order blocks, the Rifters EMA clouds, support and resistance. I went their strat for a couple months. And then every time I go to something else, I always end up back with supply and demand. I just love the risk to reward to it. You're basically set up with your entries and exits as you start. But go ahead. I have a PowerPoint. We'll go ahead and power through it. But basically, I just want to show what we're looking at with supply and demand. So right here there's 4 different supply and demands. There's a rally-based rally, which you have a push up, you base, and then you have another push up. So you can tell I kind of marked up the zone right there on the rally-based rally. Move to the upside where you have your imbalance, your price balance, and your price imbalance. Main thing with supply and demand is your market. It's mainly about volume. When we get into charts, I'll show you how volume just completely works. And you're either going to have balance or imbalance. And basically, what we want to do is fill in this imbalance and make it become balance, and then see the reaction of what happens when we get down to this area. We have a drop base drop, which we drop, we base, and then we have another drop. We have a rally base drop, so we have a nice push up, and then they agree on price, they bring the price down, and then we have a drop base rally. And I'll show you all these in all the charts. I also like to use fair value gaps, basically for entries or other certain reasons. Kind of helps with Fibonacci's too. Fair value gaps, I believe Fibonacci's, for me, the way I use Fibonacci's, do kind of work in the same thing. But the fair value gap is going to be the imbalance, and the supply and demand is actually going to be the balance. So they kind of work hand in hand. And then we always use breaker structure, and we'll go over what breaker structure is based on supply and demand, and that's going to tell you if we're either going to be strong or weak, and also use liquidity grabs. Let's go ahead and get started on what we're seeing. The best thing to do is on any chart is zoom out. A lot of my losses come from when I'm sitting on the 1 minute chart. But go ahead and zoom out, we'll see what we're doing. Overall, you can see we did break, we had a nice downtrend, and we kind of are beginning to lift off here, 34.10, which I believe our low should have been, but that's the pre-COVID high. So right now I believe we're retracing, waiting for FOMC minutes, and basically to determine on the data at the end of the month, and the horrible, probably no guidance. Unfortunately, there's no guidance for a lot of things, but let's go ahead and I do monthly, weekly. I could do 3-day, 2-day, daily. I go 6-4. I do multiple time frames. So where we're looking at ES right here, I can mark up. I marked up my dailies where we have here's our drop based rally base rally, and you can tell we had a strong move. The main concept behind this is you and me, institutions are the one that are buying this up. They're moving ES and SPY 3-4% in one day. They're gonna have orders down here that aren't filled enough. Especially data is the best thing about this. But we're waiting for price to retrace back here, and then see the reaction, see if there are still buy orders down here to have it possibly pushed right back up. You see this rally, you have your base rally right here. You can tell we already, where did we pop up right here? Right on that base rally. So, they're able to rally it up 4%. They agreed, basically a doji agreed on price for a day, and then buyers came straight back in and brought the price back up to, within 2 days, bought it up 6%. So that's a strong buy-in right there. So there's our, our base rally. And we also, if you break this down, get rid of that green. After our rally, we based and then we dropped. So we have, what do we have here? Yeah, Roddy, I don't like SPX. I love ES. I don't like I need the overnight session. I love overnight session. Gives you a lot more data points. But here's our, look at, where did we retrace back up here? Right here, we were able to, sell off again. They were able to sell off here. They brought the price back up. They sold off again. The main thing with my supply and demands is I don't like to, you could possibly play it on the second, third time. We did have a rejection here on the second time. We could tell that third time. The third time here is, that's when we squeeze. When a lot of resistance happens, we're able to break above it. Short's got to cover. We squeeze up. So I love fresh zones, and I love intraday. But right here, where I'm looking for a possible retracement. Looking at the lower time frame, I thought we would break a little bit lower because I had right here 39.22. If we lost 39.22, I was going to see 3,900 as key level, and 38.78 was where I possibly were willing to go long because we had a nice base here and then we pushed up. I mainly chart ES. I love charting ES. I do, on the right, you can tell my main stocks: Apple, AMD, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Tesla. You'll see probably 95% of my alerts coming from those tickers. Those are high liquidity tickers, and tickers that basically I have charted. I have them by the back of my hand. I'm not just going to randomly go like, oh, let's look at D-King. I'm going to get calls. I could do that, but not the biggest fan of it. I like to stick with supply and demand. So I love to look at those higher time frames, because you can see where was our high on Friday was this 4-hour little overnight session. Wasn't the strongest, but we did have a nice reaction out of here. And I think we were going to go to 40.71 if we were able to reject here. We had a beautiful rejection here. So when we create new supply, or when we reject new supply, we usually create new supply. So if price does slowly squeeze up to about 4,000 going in tomorrow, I'm possibly going to look to short it with, Friday's high as my stop. I love that risk reward. You have your stop already set here at Friday's high. So we could possibly look at, this, and that's going to be a pretty high quality short. If you pay by 0 days, you have a good 200, 300% right there. With your risk already there, you're already determined. With ES, I love to drop down kind of intraday and watch these moves intraday. And what I saw Friday is we had to slow rally up. 9:30, we had a kind of indecisive candle. We pushed up. We sold off here. So I'm looking right here. I'm looking at this here. We have kind of a I said we rejected supply. We usually create supply, so we do have a base and then a nice engulfing candle. Not really completely engulfing, but we were able to, take out the lows. This 15-minute. You could tell we came back into where we sold off in this candle, and then look at that drop. Good. Overall, if you would have held, I did futures on this one. Overall, would have held. You tell even 15-minute intraday, I would have made this one. We hit supply. If we were able to come back up into here, I would have shorted it. Kind of every, we base here. What do? We based, dropped, base. We had a nice drop here. What do? We get back in this price, and look, we drop again. These big candles aren't just random. This is sell. This is pretty decent sell right here. And you can tell we were able to kind of probably on a higher time frame. No, but not the best basing, but right here, this is where we rejected here. We also opened up here today and rejected. So I use, higher time frames for, I believe higher time frames are better off with conviction. I have higher conviction. I could go higher. These intraday ones I love these setups for quick little plays, quick little scalps. But, there's ES. We could go NQ. I always watch both of them because one's always leading the other. One's always hitting retracements before the other, causing the other to retrace. NQ was the one that actually did bounce the market Friday. If you had this charted up, we had a 4-hour per higher. Yeah, 6-hour right here. So pre-market, no, this was open on the 20th. We had this huge strong push up. And then look, we were able to retrace into this Friday. And we had a decent open close, decent solid move after our strong sell-off. Just gotta look at that beautiful tap right here. I sometimes do, sometimes I don't. So I keep 4 charts. I do 15, 30, 1 hour, 2 hour. I have 3 screens, so I have multiple time frames on. So that's why I don't really label them. But I do have, I do have, I do have my 1 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 24 hour, daily, monthly. I am able to label them, but I do have multiple time frames when I do trade. We could tell this is where ES or NQ did bounce the market. You could tell ES did not come down there. So if we are able to sell off, you definitely want to watch ES if we're able to come down to back down here. Just nice. That's not the best right here, but definitely watching the zone 3878. It's just overall trying to figure out what. Try to find where I want to show. Right here is a good example of what's happening. So we have, we had a nice strong push up our overnight session. We kind of slowly fell. As soon as we opened, we had a drop, and then we had a strong push up. So this is a beautiful, huge impulse move. You can tell we came back down here, kind of tapped it, but we bounced up, and then once again we were able to come back down in here, and look at that beautiful push from here. Almost 2% if you're able to get into that right there. But of course, the main thing with supply and demand is sometimes supplies just get destroyed. Sometimes demands just get destroyed. It's part of the game. But if you do stick by your supply and demand, you're gonna take a loss every so often. Every way you trade, you're gonna take a loss. And those are ways, usually trending days. Trending days where we're just going straight up right here. I don't know how many supplies got taken out on this day right here, but that's usually a day I don't trade because I believe everyone who went FOMO got calls, by chasing. They printed, but me, I had no retracement back into a zone, so I did not really take any plays probably on a big trending day. That's where you should just play futures. So with that, ES and Q, I do chart SPY. I'll show you my projected path for SPY. It's gone. Why is it gone? That's sad. My path's gone. So this path for SPY has been about 4 or 5 times. We have our swing high to swing low fib retracement. We are able to, most of the time we retrace back to the 0.5. We hit 2 times, we hit 0.5. We actually broke above it pretty well. We took out these 2 swing highs. Just like right here. This is the same instant right here. We've done this multiple times. There's a swing low, kind of zoom in for better. We kind of rally up 0.5, but this one we're able to come back up here and we sold off pretty strong. Right here. This one we didn't really make it to the 0.5, but we had, almost 2 touches there, sold off pretty strong. Right here, rallied up at 0.618, came up. We did definitely broke the structure right here, but we did sell off. We also have right here too, same thing. Sold off, we came back up, kind of double tapped this part. This is probably the 0.7 fib, sold off again. So my projected path is 349 for SPY. You can tell since the beginning of the year, we've broken structure twice. Right here. So a breaker structure for me is we're taking a previous swing high. So swing high, we make swing low, and then we are able to break right here. We broke here, and we broke here. On both these instances, right after we broke the structure, we sold off strong. We finally broke one here, and so what I'm projecting is a pretty strong sell-off. With earnings and everything could change. With GDP data, with FOMC, GDP data. I mean, there's so much data. Of course, news trumps TA, but overall, this pattern has been working. I've made pretty good money off this pattern. I basically predicted this bottom right here at 384, I believe. No, right here, 362. Because when we do this fib retrace, we do retrace back to the minus 0.5. We've been doing this. This has been just typical. If you see these patterns, I like to show you guys this. I've been predicting this since we had that low, but pretty decent push up here. But let's just go ahead and keep going through. I do watch VIX, but VIX has been very, very weird lately. But we are in this overall. You can tell I need to update with the previous data points. But you can tell here's all our data points. This is why you shouldn't fear. Before, you shouldn't fear the FOMC minutes. It's kind of changed now, but But overall, VIX, I'm looking for. We are in this huge triangle, and also we are in this downtrend. So once we break this downtrend, we spike up pretty strong. We break a downtrend, we spike up pretty strong. Break a downtrend, we spike up pretty strong. So it's pretty much just waiting for us to break this downtrend, and we should spike up. I'm definitely watching kind of this triangle and kind of this demand down here. I do demand on, I do it on VIX too and whatnot, but I believe VIX should be way higher. That's why I see SPY going down. With VIX was higher during the election than it is in this bear market. So that really honestly doesn't make any sense to me. Is that we are in a bear market and VIX is super high, but during the election VIX was higher. And then you could tell when we actually did go in our bear market with COVID, we hit 80. So we didn't even get anywhere close in our bear market right now. We nothing at all. But let's go ahead and go through our main tickers and just start, charting some supply and demand, trying to figure out where things are going. I love key levels. Break it down where, if Apple was able to hold that 150, we're able to push up. You can tell where we hit here. I believe it was extended. Sometimes I do pop on the extended hours, which I actually showed this to one of Discord with them. After that sell off, sorry, I might go out of speaking for a couple seconds while I'm holding my son. But we have a sell off, we have a rally, then we based, then we had a strong rally. And look, sell off with that nose. He loves my mic. And then where did we actually come down to? And we're able to push again, right where we based. So the basing is just between this time right here. So 3 hours, they agreed on price between 146 and 147, and then sellers came in strong. So that's just showing you there's your price balance, and then there's your imbalance. Basically, your imbalance pushed it up 3%. Strong sell-off, so the imbalance was filled in, and it became balanced now. And then we hit that balance, and you got to see if we're going to break down or if we're going to break up. You tell pre-market we were able to bounce off of it, and we had a pretty solid day that day. So Apple, I'm not really looking at unless we get down at 159 is where we have this little sell-off. You can tell we came back up into it, and we were able to sell off pretty strong after that. We had a decent 13% sell-off. So if from this zone they were able to sell off Apple 13%, when we hit it again, I will take a 5% sell-off on Apple, and I'll make money. That's what I'm looking for with these zones. I'll take half of the original sell-off, and I'll be happy with that. With a 5% move in Apple on that sell-off, that'd be great. AMD, you tell where we kind of pushed here. We had kind of a 2J. This was it's a doji, so technically the color really doesn't matter. My white candles are red, my blue candles are green. I don't like staring at red and blue, or red and green, so I switch it up. But tell, here's our huge sell-off. We're able to push up, and then look, we came back down in, touched it, and then look at beautiful push up from there. So if I'm looking for AMD, what am I looking for? I'm looking for it to drop down to right here. So if AMD is about to get down to 77.85, because we did break our structure here, so we did make a new higher high. If it does get down to that 77.85, I will gladly go a month out, with my stop loss being 74. Especially that key level 76 being there too. So that's something I'm looking at right there. Amazon was beautiful. You guys don't know, I go pre-market every morning, and we just build watch list. And this is basically what we do. We just go through our charts. We go through what happened Friday. And we just start building, our supply and demand. And Amazon, we had 125 supply. Look at that beautiful. Where did we sell off? Where did we sell off Friday? Right here. Nice 4% move on a Friday for Amazon. Oh man, you guys would have printed. But I also do take key levels. 118. I've been saying for a while 118 has been a key level because here's our pivot, and you can tell there's that break above. I love break aboves and retest. Break above, retest it, pushed up. You don't always trade one way. There's a million ways to trade out there. But Amazon, we were able to reject there pretty well, which we could see is kind of this double top over here, but our last little kind of doji, nice sell-off with a gap down. So there's 3 things that make us demand and supply for me strong is if it's a doji with a huge engulfing candle that's strong, you want it to break structure. So, stocks are, Amazon's going up, making higher lows and higher highs, going up right here, sells off, kind of retraced, sells off. So it did break its structure right here, which makes it 2 times strong. And then we also gap down from here. So that's making it 3 times strong. So that's just adding more conviction into actually getting into this put right here. I didn't alert this. I was talking to a Discord about this. Someone I follow on Twitter alerted first. I don't like stealing plays. I don't like copying plays, but they took next week's 121 puts. Pretty solid move there. But Amazon, look at this down here. This was beautiful. Amazon's been respecting. A lot of stocks respect supply and demand. Where we have right here, huge push up, pre-market split. We split. What do? When we pop up from here? Yeah, we popped up again. Nice 15% move on Amazon. That's a beautiful play. So, we were able to pop up from supply or from demand. So usually I delete it, but we also create new demand if we're able to, make a strong move from demand. What do we do here? Oh, my wife's calling me. Look at that beautiful touch right here. And then we were able to pop up. Unfortunately, this one isn't the strongest one because we weren't able to break the structure right here. But also we did not come down there. But we did when we created this new demand. When we hit this demand, we kind of created new demand right here where we pushed up, came back down into it, continuation, and then look where we tap again. Right here. If you took a swing from there, when we entered this 106.75 with a stop loss, you could have a stop loss of 105. I mean, you would have, I don't even want to know, 18% move. But also, you have your risk there. You have, your stop loss. Keep your stop loss 105 because, sometimes that's what, we're kind of in a triangle where you're, when we create new demand, when we have supply, we create new supply. If we have demand, we create new demand. Eventually, we break through. And that's, we had initial rejection here from probably the supply. But eventually, we are able to break up. And that's where I go, you go to look long. You broke above all supplies. We don't have supply until up here, which we didn't even get affected at all. So we could have went long when we broke out of here. back. My son pulled my microphone on my headset. But also that's why I love to use key levels. If you shorted it here and here, you would have made money, and then if you shorted it here, you would have lost. But also your risk would have been in there, so you wouldn't have lost that bad. I wouldn't have kept holding it. Once we broke over that supply, there's really no point to hold it. Just go ahead and cut it, and then you could possibly look to go long because we did break above this strong supply, and also what I like to say is like a little squeeze point where we have strong resistance, strong resistance, strong resistance. Eventually, we did break up above it. So Amazon, I'm looking at possibly, definitely would love, a retracement down to that 118 level, which was this hold, our previous breakout level, or down to 115 where we have, our rally, base rally. So that's what I'm looking on. Amazon. It does have earnings. I don't play earnings. I'd rather go to Las Vegas. Google, I did alert on Tuesday. I did cut it because it was just down so much, but this thing went probably 800% after we cut it. I still use trend lines, still use everything, but supply and demand right here is we have this was on extended. Sometimes I like to pop on extended to try to pinpoint where exactly we're having issues, where we have right here, right, this nice drop, we based, and then look at a strong sell-off from that base, 6%. Probably different before the split. We were able to come back up here and look, we sold off here, came up here, sold off again, and then eventually we had that huge strong sell-off. So I'm waiting for Google to kind of act normal after it's split. Amazon took a little bit. So here, Meta, another stock that's respecting its supply and demand on the downside, but once we break through these, we're gonna see a sell-off. Just try to find exactly where it started. Here is right here. So we had a pretty decent strong sell-off here. We're able to base and then a huge buy-in. Price comes back down here. What's it do? Pushes straight back up again. You can tell it broke structure here. Broke structure here. So this one down here, I believe this was probably a lower time frame. Oh, this one was weird because it was like a double bottom. So I kind of went to extended, and I tried pinpointing where the actual consolidation was. So I like to go down to a lower time frame and figure out, you want consolidation, then you want a huge push up. So you can tell we had this little consolidation here. After sell-off consolidation, we came back down, touched it here, huge push up. So we're waiting for price to just get back down there. Initially didn't want to, but eventually beautiful push up from there. Just a beautiful push up. Oh, my screen's off. And then we kind of squeezed over that, key level right here, 172. Rejection, 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 came up, rejected it here. You could tell intraday. This is kind of where I would go key level over supply and demand. There's our rejection here. Came up, look at that, beautiful, broke above it, kind of came down, retested it, continued up. Not going over Microsoft. NVIDIA is one of my, I almost do a NVIDIA call out every day. NVIDIA makes great money. Moves well. And just respects a lot of key levels, a lot of supply and demand. So NVIDIA just lately was that key level of 172. So I also do like kind of intraday, like at end of day we sold off from Snapchat news. Look, we came up, we opened back up where we sold off, and look, we sell off again. That was the same thing with my Microsoft put the other day. Right here, we were able to sell off with Apple news, came back up, opened up, and sold off again. Look at that, beautiful. I'll just show this quickly on Microsoft. Beautiful. After a strong sell-off, we based, we sold off again. The next day, where did we do? We opened up in our base, and then we sell off again. Over time, supply and demand kind of comes pretty second nature. You just figure out what the market's doing. But right here, we had kind of our squeeze point. I love NVIDIA right here over 160 rejection. 160 is beautiful supply, beautiful demand. We pushed up. We pushed up from it. We can actually able to come down, test it, and then we were able to push up again. The beautiful rejection of 172, pushed up. Key levels. I'm just going through charts and looking for previous supports, previous resistances, especially supports that become resistances, and resistance comes supports. Look at where we stopped. NVIDIA's high, 182. Look at this rejection. Support, support, support. We broke below, became a resistance. So now we're becoming resistance again. So if we're able to tap this a few more times, I'm looking for the upside past 182 right there. And then everyone's favorite, we'll finish up with Tesla, is let's see what Tesla did. I was looking for, really wanted Tesla to get up to 900, didn't get up there. Wasn't able to hold that 829, which is a key level for me. Let's see if it actually hit. What it actually hit there. Didn't really hit anything on the highs. Tesla, just a simple triangle breakout. But definitely keep on with ES. I will chart ES every day, all day. I trade futures. I'm kind of down on futures right now. I trade pretty much 24/7. But definitely looking for a breakdown from this area because we've already hit this once, twice. Definitely want to see a small bounce. Don't want to break this high. And then a collapse through this area. So if we're able to, and then I'm looking for that. That'll be a ideal play for me tomorrow. I'm biased bearish, but you tell me, how many times we tapped this area. We did make a higher high, and then so I'm looking for a lower high right here, and then we could see a collapse. We could possibly see that at open, is where we're not going to be able to take over Friday's highs at open. And that'd be a good indicator to go short. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Appreciate everybody. I'll post the recording. I'll start uploading it right now. Thank you, and y'all have a great night.